Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
December 11, 2020, the Long Arm Edition. Our first story is one of our co-lead stories, which is the Deutsche Accounts chief has stepped aside. Andres Locher is temporarily stepping aside as Deutsche Bank's head of accounting after Munich prosecutors launched a criminal probe into potential violations while he was a partner at EY over the Wirecard audits. The lender announced Tuesday evening that he would be replaced immediately, although they announced this was temporary. He joined Deutsche Bank in 2018 after more than 2 decades at EY, and from 2015 to 2017, he was one of the lead auditing partners in charge of Wirecard. This alleged, according to a statement from the bank, it was at Andres' request and in mutual agreement. I certainly doubt that. So the long arm of your past history once again will catch up to you. Another person who has found themselves in such state, although his employer, bank, has stepped up to defend him, is new UBS chief executive Ralph Hammers, who barely a month into the job is now being probed by a Dutch court over his role in a huge money laundering scandal. The bank said that this is when he was with ING. ING paid 775 million euros in penalties 2 years ago for compliance failures for allegedly allowing companies to launder hundreds of millions of euros and pay bribes over 6 years. The penalties were the largest ever imposed on a company by the Dutch Public Prosecutor Service, and said that it had found that ING clients were able to use accounts held with ING for criminal activities for many, many years undisturbed. Hammers led ING from 2013 through the time he took this job at UBS. UBS claims they have fully vetted Hammers and did a full background search, but you obviously know with the ING settlement, the tone at the top was anything but being in compliance and doing business ethically. I didn't realize that the blast in Lebanon earlier this year was the biggest non-nuclear explosion in modern history, but Lebanon's prime minister has been charged, as well as 3 former ministers, with criminal negligence in causing the deaths of hundreds of people. The caretaker prime minister is scheduled to be questioned next week. The judge who originally had believed that there was a legislative immunity has now determined that former prime ministers and other government officials can be indicted. Between 30 and 35 officials have been charged. The office of the lead investigator had been informed that the PM had nothing to do with this. Obviously, the tone at the top of the Lebanese government allowed corruption literally to flourish, with some 2,700 tons of explosive-grade aluminum nitrate have been sitting in the port, Beirut's port, since 2014, and nothing was done about it. In August, President Michael Aoun admitted he was aware of this, but there was nothing done about it. So good to see that even Lebanon can do something. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.